Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitchlight Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tots. I am here with Rob and Donald. And the three-headed front office has spoken. They've come out. Spring training is underway. And in true Yankee fashion, we have a couple of injuries already. So business as usual. But I want to get to, there was the comment made. I want to start off with Aaron Boone. Right? Because he's the one that's going to be navigating the games day in, day out. Hell bent on winning a World Series. And I actually think that he's being genuine about it. I think that's the attitude going into the season. We said going into this offseason, right? We had a big discussion about it. The Yankees needed a philosophy change. Not making the postseason, barely getting over 500, lackluster roster, subpar performances from guys that were expected to do well. It was a turning point for this organization to be like, all right, this isn't success is not an automatic in this town anymore. We have to make significant adjustments. And I think the way that the front office handled their business, they have really kind of did an about face and are addressing issues that needed to be addressed. Like we said, we didn't get we didn't get every shiny toy that was on the shelf, but we got enough to survive a season. We have depth. We haven't had depth in the past. So I think the comment of the hell bent on winning a World Series, I think it was a genuine comment. I don't think it was trying to blow smoke up fans' asses. I really think that's their mentality. It's not the World Series or bust mantra that the Yankees have been spewing out for all eternity. But this is a different way to say the same thing, but with a little more. It just came off more real. How did you guys feel about it?
But again, it's better than the alternative, which would be like, we're going to do our best and we're going to put the best foot forward and all that. So, yep. I mean, I would hope he's genuine. I would hope they're hell bent on winning a championship because it's been so long and they've had so many chances to get there and they failed at every aspect of it. So I was perfectly fine with the quote. I don't know why people are trying to find issues with what he said. There's a big reaction about it on X that hell bent would have been signing Bellinger and signing Snell and trading for Burns. That's hell bent. That's just not how things work. You don't get everybody simply because you want to win 1 year. You don't just sign billions and billions of dollars worth of free agents unless you're the Dodgers. But no, that they did everything they could. They had a really good offseason. They have a good team going into the spring. So it's now or never, really. And if you listen to, we'll get into it later on, but if you also listen to Cashman on Talking Yanks last night, he was the same way. It's win now. Like, this year is like the year they have to win because next year isn't guaranteed, especially with all the 1-year contracts we have specifically with Soto. So they have to win now, and they know they have to win now. So they're trying to do everything it takes to go out there and win a championship. And I think they have the team to go ahead and do it. And I think they have the resources to add to it throughout the season to make them better. So I'm perfectly fine with the quote. I think the Yankees are finally talking like the way we want them to talk. They're saying the things we want them to say instead of trying to dance around subjects. And that's what you want to hear instead of trying to give us the runaround and treat us like we don't know what we're doing or we don't know what we're talking about. They're giving it to us straight, and that's what I want to hear. So I applaud Boone and I applaud Cashman, and let's go. I'm glad that baseball is back.
Yeah, listen, Cashman didn't pull any punches. I liked what he had to say. The thing that I particularly liked that he said was, if Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, even Stroman walk out of this building without at least one NY on their finger as a championship ring, then it's a crime. He actually said it's a crime, and he says it's criminal if great players play for the Yankees over a 3-4 year period and don't have a chance to compete for a championship. He used those words. Now that answers the question about accountability, and that answers the question about expectations. Seems to me that the expectations and the accountability are still very much prevalent within the New York Yankee organization, and that's all I can ask. Um, and they put together a good offseason. Is it going to make everybody happy? No, but I don't think there's any way to make everybody happy. But there's one person that's quite unhappy, and that's in the chat. JJ, how did the Yankees let Corbin Burns slip away? How did their pitchers available, but Cashman gave us Stroman? I'm throwing in the towel. Did Cashman just say this is, all he gave us was Marcus Stroman? What a joke.
Don't watch.
I want to jump in here, man. First of all, your comment about Marcus Stroman. He got in a very solid number 3 starter on number 5 starter money and number 5 starter years. That's really good value. That's a high upside deal for somebody that was a Cy Young candidate before the All-Star break last year. What's the problem there? Come on. Seriously, come on. How did the Yankees let Corbin Burns slip away? Well, that's because they weren't willing to give away our number 1 prospect and one of the very top prospects in all of baseball for a 1-year rental. Now the proof is in the pudding, as they say, as Cashman says and Boone says a lot. We'll see how that works out. My personal opinion is I don't have a problem with that. I'm very much on the side of not giving up your number 1 prospect for a rental. I just don't think that's good business. So again, JJ, I'm sorry. I really appreciate that you coming on here, man. But how do you know that they're wasting the Soto, Judge, and Cole's prime years for nothing? This was a good offseason, and it really was. Now, should there be more work to be done? Yeah, I think that there's probably still some more work that can be done, but this is not necessarily it. But as it stands, we've got a very strong team. So let's be a little bit more optimistic here. Donald, give me at least Snell to be optimistic. Listen, I'm a big Snell fan. I want Blake Snell here, but listen, let's get behind the team that we have at the moment, which is much better than it was last year. I've asked for an improved roster. I've got an improved roster. I've asked for improved expectations. I've got improved expectations. So let's see how this spring plays out. I don't think this is the end of our activity anyway. So let's not throw in the towel just yet. As for Aaron Boone said a lot of stuff. Like, for instance, he said stuff like, "I'm looking for." My expectation is this offense is going to be elite. That is my expectation. I like that he said that. I like those words. My expectation is not words that I normally associate with Aaron Boone. So I like that. I also like that he said, I'm looking for a roster which is obsessed with winning. And once they get to the top, to still have that obsession staying at the top. Now, I know these are just words, right? But what I will say is these are not words that I've heard last year or the year before that. It seems a little bit more urgent. Brian Cashman said, we have to win now. We've only got Soto for 1 year. He did say that. We've got Soto for 1 year. He says I cannot guarantee it's going to be more than that. So we have to go for it this year. He said those words. He will follow up on those words because, yeah, he did bring in Soto for 1 year. He says he cannot guarantee he's going to be here for much longer. If it's possible, great. Mm-hmm. He said, but if not, we got him for this 1 year. So the expectations are going to be very, very high. It sounds like from the top. It sounds like from Brian Cashman. It sounds like from Aaron Boone. Cashman didn't pull any punches, and that was in Talking Yanks interview. I was very impressed with it, to be honest. And normally I'm quite reserved about my feelings, especially when it comes from the Yankees, because usually they talk a lot but very little delivery. But I have to say, man, I liked a lot of the stuff that he said, and shout out to him for actually coming on to a podcast to talk. I mean, not very many general managers around the league or around any of the other sports that we follow actually come on and hop onto a fan's podcast and talk for half an hour. You have to give credit to Brian Cashman for that too. NFE, how are you?
Doing well, guys. How we doing?
Good. Well, you wanted you wanted the floor, and that's the streaming perk is just welcome aboard.
Yeah,
And for anybody that doesn't know, NFE is now officially starting his live streams. He will be doing going live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. So make sure you subscribe to his channel and check out the live streams. Jason and I joined him yesterday. We had a great discussion. But NFE, what do you have? You wanted to address something?
Yeah, and Donald and Rob, you guys are always welcome to jump on the live stream too if you all have time. So the invitation's open to the both of you guys. So JJ, let's not start with the negativity, man. Let's just not even go there. Like I had to jump on and say something because going into this year, this roster is a lot deeper than they were in 2023. Okay, why didn't they go? Why did they let Corbin Burns slip away? They didn't let him slip away. They were asking for too much for him. And honestly, do we want another 1-year rental? I don't. It's already bad enough that we have Soto for 1 year. I'm glad we have Soto, but there's already the stress that he's going to test free agency, and Brian Cashman himself said that. So, it doesn't sound like an extension is even on the table or is even going to be considered. So, and even if they got Corbin Burns is going to be the same thing. Again, these would have been two big names that the Yankees would have dealt with. All right. And the Yankees are not the only team dealing with injuries. The Orioles are also dealing with some injuries. And they got a couple of their big name pitchers that are dealing with injuries. So there's some question marks in their starting rotation right now. So they're going to have to do something as far as pitching goes. So they might trade with the Marlins, right? Not necessarily Cabrera, Rob. Don't worry.
No. That I disagree with that comment completely.
I agree with that. Disagree with that too.
Yeah. It's not deeper. It's better. It's better. Yeah. But I mean, last season though, they were scrambling though whenever players had injuries. They didn't have anybody to plug in. They were just plugging in random names in random spots, and it didn't work out. But
can I just jump in here, Chris?
Yeah, go for it.
We love your show, but how can it not be deeper? I mean, you were talking about Grisham as your fourth outfielder. Grisham could start in a lot of teams. He's your fourth outfielder. You got Soto, and you got Verdugo, and you got Aaron Judge, and you got Giancarlo Stanton, and then you got Jason Dominguez waiting in the wings, who's ramping things up. You got Spencer Jones, who's not that far off Dominguez. And in fact, Dane's saying that he could even be a candidate for September. And then we've already tried out Pereira if we don't trade him. So, I mean, Brad says we had infielders playing outfield. It's so much deeper. The outfield is so much deeper. Let's look at the infield. You got DJ LeMahieu that can play third base, second base, first base. You've got Gleyber Torres there. You got Peraza that can play third base, shortstop, second base. You've got Oswaldo Cabrera that could play literally any position on the field. I mean, that's depth, man. It's not really that thin at third base. You got DJ LeMahieu, and you've got Peraza that can play third base,
and Cabrera.
Mm-hmm. I'm not thinking about Jones right now, but when it comes to the depth, I will say that I think that
Grisham is good numbers, good power numbers.
I'd rather Grisham as our fourth outfielder than Billy McKinney.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
or
a
Willie
good
Calhoun.
Hey, Rob, jump in on this. I mean, I can't be the only one that disagrees with this.
No, I said it first. I completely disagree. Look, how can you say we're not deeper when the bench is a million times better than it was last year? We were relying on Franchi Cordero and Willie Calhoun and Aaron Hicks. I mean, all these guys. We have Cabrera, who plays literally everywhere. Like you said, he can play first. DJ can play first. DJ can play third. He can play second. Cabrera can play short. Volpe is an everyday kind of player. And Peraza is going to, unfortunately, for now, he's the utility guy, but he can play all three infield positions. Grisham can play everywhere. You have Judge that can move all over the outfield if you need it. And there's also Giancarlo Stanton that if you need to for at least 2 days a week, maybe even 3, put him out there in the corners in right field. this team is a lot deeper, and not to mention the guys we have in the system that are going to be coming up, specifically on the pitching side. Will Warren's ready. Edgar Barclay is ready. These are a lot of other guys that are in the system, like Danny Watson and Jack Neely, that are going to be ready at some point this year, maybe as soon as, middle of the season, whatever. He may be an AAA player to you, but he's a utility guy, and that's very useful. Would you rather have IKF right now? I wouldn't. I'll tell you that right now. I'm glad he's gone. I don't miss IKF at all. So this whole idea that the team's not deeper, it's just not true. They're far deeper now. And then if you look at the minor league system, Dominguez is going to come back. I didn't even mention Verdugo. He's a guy that can play every single day. We have players that can come up when needed. And just because we're thin at first base doesn't mean we're absolutely limited, because let's not forget Ben Rice is a guy that's already getting talked about as a first base option in the future. We have 5 catchers on our 40-man roster. So even if Trevino has to miss a little time, Ben Rortvedt can be there. Maybe they call up Narvaez a little sooner than expected because he's close to major league ready. The team is much deeper than it was last year. Last year, when there was an injury, we had to scramble. We had to go and call up Billy McKinney, and we didn't want to give anyone a chance, any one of these kids. Now, guess what? Everson Pereira, he becomes an option from AAA if we need to replace an injured player or something like that. He's there. You have guys that can play all over the place. It's a lot deeper. And again, I don't know what it is with this negativity. Spring training is just starting. We haven't even played a game yet, and we got JJ and we got people that are complaining about the roster when it's a much better and much deeper roster. So how about and we do draft pitchers, JJ? Look at our system. How many pitchers have we traded away in the last 7 years that have been
best
drafted
trades
by the New York?
had involved pitches that we
Yes.
had to give up.
Yeah, JJ, listen to Brian Cashman's interview on Talking Yanks. He actually named the guys. He said that Warren is actually major league ready, and he talked about Beater being a possibility in camp. Weaver's going to be working out in camp as a starter. And then he mentioned that Chase Hampton's got a higher upside than all of them together, but he's a little bit behind Warren, but Warren is major league ready. So he's already listed a bunch of guys that can just jump in right now. And we only need one spot in the starting rotation. And we've also got Nestor Cortez. I mean, he is what he is, but I mean, that's still another solid arm. So, I don't know. Literally, what's the negativity here? Also, Grisham. This idea that can't hit. He hit 17 home runs and 53 RBIs in 2022. I'll take that from a fourth
for a bench
outfielder.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 13 home runs, 23. But that was not a great year for him. But 2021, he had a good year. 15 homers, 62 RBIs, and he had an OPS 740. He had an OPS of 800 in 2020. And he's a multiple Gold Glover. So someone that's a fourth outfielder that's going to give you between 13 and 17 home runs off the bench. Come on, that's solid for a fourth outfielder. Yeah, let's go. Around about a 700 OPS. That's okay. The idea that he can't hit isn't true. I'll give you people that can hit. IKF couldn't hit.
Singles hitter. That's all he was.
Couldn't hit. Yeah. McKinney couldn't hit. So let's be a little bit more positive about some things here. Now, do I think that we're probably still one arm away? Yes. I'm not deviating from that, but it doesn't mean that it's clouded my judgment on where the roster is. And I think the roster is in a good spot. Not too many injuries. And Cashman himself says that people look great. He says that people have been working their asses off and pitchers and catchers, and he's quite happy with what he's seeing so far. A lot of people are in good shape. Acevedo, salute to you. Happy weekend. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We love that so much. Thank you.
To Acevedo's comment here, again, appreciate the $2 super chat here. Since we got the depth, the question mark is Cashman playing them.
I think he will.
I think that there's a reason why a lot of our key players were not involved with any of the trades. Michael King, I think, was the only one. And is anybody saying this team is worse because we lost Michael King? No. Yes, they had to bring in guys like Marcus Stroman because they were making offers to other guys and were being turned down. That's not the Yankees' fault. And not every position needs to be filled by a superstar. It doesn't work. Look what the Padres tried doing. And they got egg on their face. The Dodgers, they're not, they may be projected as far as also with the rankings of how many wins they're going to have. They're only giving the Yankees one more win. That's their credibility right down the freaking toilet. Okay, from Ball Cap. They added Juan Soto. They replaced Severino with Stroman. If that doesn't give you 10 more wins in a season, that's really that everything completely went wrong. But those two players alone give you the what the hell? Love you, bro.
I only had positive. It was only right that I did it, bro, because I'm loving this positivity from you guys, and that's what we need. Damn it.
I don't understand the negativity though. Like I'm a very critical fan, right? I am quite a critical fan. Like I try and stay very balanced. If I see something I don't like, I call it. And if I see something I like, I call it. I see a lot of stuff that I like. I mean, this time last year, I was pissed off. And I used this platform to vent about how poorly built this roster was. I don't have these complaints this year. I'm excited. That should say a lot of things here. We're all very, like, everyone, all four of us here have seen the Yankees for a long, long fucking time combined, right? And we feel pretty optimistic. Like, the things are okay.
Yeah.
Now, is it perfect? No, but no, I can't think of a team that's perfect. The Dodgers are pretty close, but even they have some issues. So, like, let's try and be a little bit optimistic. And listen, I've seen Yankee rosters in the mid-2000s, which had 1 through 9 all-stars in every position, and the Yankees didn't win a World Series. So you cannot predict anything. You just can't predict how things are going to go. There's every chance that the Yankees could be the last team standing. Every chance. There's as much chance as not, as it stands.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to address this I want to address Jason's comment here real quick. Jason, welcome to the Pitchlight Chronicles show. Appreciate you checking us out. Hope you're enjoying it. And if you are enjoying this discussion, this debate, this back and forth, hit that like button for us. It'll help us out with the algorithm and get this content out to a lot more people. We are still sitting on 20 subs away from 600. So what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Let's keep this going. And Jason says here, our roster is way better than last year's. Fact. My concern is the Orioles and Astros got better as well. Well, the Orioles got hit with a major blow with their rotation with Bradish yesterday. So you damn know it. So they're good now. They have to, spring training is underway with pitchers and catchers reporting, and now they have to scramble to fix their rotation. So, and they also lost with their bullpen. With was it Bautista got hurt, right?
Yeah, they had to sign Kimbrel to replace him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they went for the aging, the in baseball, in sports world, aged player. So it's not like we're the only ones that go for the veteran guys, and with their young core. You have to have the balance. That's what it's all about. That's what the Yankees did so well. We sat here all offseason saying how calculated they were. They weren't just going and, making stupid decisions, spending stupid money on players that they don't need. They went out and they addressed the needs. The one need that I will say that they missed on was the closer. But the season hasn't started yet. The trade deadline isn't until July. There's plenty of time to address issues with this team. Players, are moved during spring training. It's just the way it is. Right, Brad, means it's behind schedule as well.
Yeah.
And so even Cashman said Cashman said yesterday that what do you say? Pencils. It's not pencils down, so he wouldn't,
Yep.
throw out the idea that maybe they add another pitcher during the spring. There's still a lot of free agents left. Now, do I think that's going to be Blake Snell or Montgomery? No, but maybe even a Mike Clevenger at this point would be a welcome addition. That's a guy that's going to give you innings, and he had a solid year last year. And if you can get him on the cheap, a guy that just probably wants to sign at this point. And Carlos, thank you for the $2 super chat. Waiting for that 2 years, 60 per.
So grateful. Thank you so much.
60 per. 60 million. Oh, I got maybe with the luxury tax, but still 60 million. I mean, look, if we get Snell at this point on a cheap deal, that'd be great. But I mean, again, thank you for the super chat. I won't rule out that they sign a veteran starter, even if it is a Lorenzen. I think he's still available, a guy that's going to eat innings, a major league guy, or Clevenger, or it's a trade. That's still open. That's still a possibility. The Yankees could see that injury to Bradish and be like, even though it's a UCL and they're maybe not too concerned right now, that's usually a precursor to some bad things, and he's going to miss time. So maybe the Yankees. Okay, you meant 30. I got you.
Okay.
Maybe they jump on the chance now. It's like, hey, the Orioles are a little banged up. Let's go get Dylan Cease, or let's go add to this rotation and just go for the knockout punch as early as possible. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but maybe they do that. Something could happen between now and the first spring game, or between now and the first regular season game. So I do not understand why this fan base is so negative right now. We've got a much better team. We've got a much deeper farm system than ever before. One of the best in baseball. Kids that are ready to play now, kids that are going to be ready to play in another couple of years. JJ, Corey Kluber's coming on as an advisor at some point, and I would love to see who he teaches that slurve ball to, that Kluber ball that he gave to Michael King. Who's going to get it next? There's a whole bunch of reasons to be optimistic. And hey, here's some other good news. Carlos Rodon was touching 97 on the gun. Last year, he was touching 92. So, hey, we've gotten nothing but good news so far. Unfortunately, we know Efros had a little setback with his back surgery, and then Trevino might miss a little bit of time. But they've added some veteran arms to the bullpen. They made that trade with Milwaukee to get another arm, and they signed Trevino back for a 1 year plus an option, who only one person in this world is complaining about it. I think we all know who that is. So why are we all so not we all, but why are so many people just acting like the sky's falling? The games haven't started yet.
You know what it is?
What is it?
It's psychological, man. It's psychological. I'll tell you why it's psychological. If we waited until now to make the Juan Soto trade, I guarantee everyone right now will be going absolutely nuts, excited. This team's the best team ever. Oh my god!
Save the off season. Yeah,
exactly. It's
good
all
point,
psychological, man. Like if the fact is, we made a lot of our business early. Right, Juan Soto was a lot of our business. We brought in Verdugo, we brought in Grisham at the start of the offseason. Now, the only move that we've made recently is Stroman, and that feels like a bit of a letdown when you look at other teams maybe signing Burns, right, and or trading for Burns, and then you're like, oh, what are the Yankees doing, right? It's because we all got short-term memories, but the truth is, it's all psychological. If we made the Juan Soto deal last week, this fan base would be so freaking excited, and that's the facts, man. Because it doesn't matter when we bring in Soto. We brought him in. He's gonna be here. He's gonna be good. You know, we've got a good rotation. It doesn't matter when the deals went through. They went through, right? So let's not have short-term memories. I guarantee it's psychological. What's the quote in Jaws, right? It's all psychological. You yell Barracuda, people go, oh, what? You yell shark, panic on our hands on the 4th of July, right? Thing is, the Yankees went Barracuda with Marcus Stroman, and everyone's like, right? If we made the Juan Soto deal right now, everyone would be like, yeah. But the truth is, it's still there, man. It's still there. This is a good team, right? It's a good freaking team. Let's get excited.
I'm excited for the team. You know, I think Damian said it earlier. You know, until they give me a reason not to be optimistic, I'm looking forward to the season. You know, and no plan B. Well, there was a plan B.
This is our plan B.
The one Milwaukee was playing games with us. They kept taking off the market, and Snell turned the contract down. So if your plan B and your plan B, B1, if they say no, you can't force their hand to sign the contract. It's not that the Yankees weren't going after these guys. That's the other thing that people need to keep in the front of their head. The Yankees were very aggressive this offseason. They would, I think, like I said, the only thing I think where Cashman kind of dropped the ball a little bit was the closer role. But who knows? He could have been talking to somebody for a trade. Who the hell knows? You don't. Cashman keeps a lot of information close to his vest. So not everything gets leaked to the public where we get a chance to discuss it. But they've made significant upside changes to this roster this season. So I think
it was a reasonable pivot, man. I mean, listen, the Yankees were all in on Yamamoto. Brian Cashman talked about it at length on Talking Yanks. It was a good podcast, and he was very honest about it. He said that he felt great about it. He was very proud of the work that they did behind the scenes to convince him, and they thought that they could do it. But he says he remembers the day in which they had to make a pitch to him, and they were in California at the time. And he's like, and he apparently said to his team at the time, he's like, "This is what we're competing with." And he says it was a beautiful day, and it's freaking California, and it was spectacular weather. And he's like, this is gonna be a hard sell because
it was raining in New York.
Yeah, he did a meeting in New York, and it was pissing rain, and it was cold as shit. And it's closer on the West Coast to Japan than it is the East Coast. And there are several other factors. Obviously, the big factor, which was concerning, was Ohtani, and Ohtani deferring most of his contract, which was crazy, and it was even crazy to Brian Cashman. It was mind blowing to him, and he says that had a big role to play. So he says that, you combine the weather, California, and playing with Ohtani. He's like, that was it. But he says the Yankees were the bridesmaids. They came runners up. He wasn't happy about it, but he wouldn't have changed anything that they did in order to try and land him. It's just it wasn't enough at the day. So the Yankees didn't give up, though. They tried to sign Blake Snell. They rejected it, man, and it's their fault because he's still unemployed. But they rejected it. You can't force him to sign that deal. So okay, well, instead of the Yankees just sitting and waiting, what would you guys have preferred? Because they could still have done this. They could have just sat and waited until now, until hope that maybe Blake Snell will lower his contract demands. Or what they did was, we'll take advantage of what we have right now, where we got Marcus Stroman. We can get in a short-term deal. He's going to come in. He's already walked in as our third starter, beefs up our rotation, and then we'll wait and see how the rest of the market pans out. But at least we're not shopping hungry. That's what the plan was. That is plan B. That is not a dumb plan B. That's actually kind of smart plan B. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. And then you look at the other contracts that have been given out earlier this year, and you got Stroman on a cheap, basically 2-year deal that's easy to get out of, but it has a lot of upside that he could be a very solid Yankee. Why are we negative about that? I mean, the other alternative is what's playing out right now, where you're just sitting and you're like, Mr. Boris, please, would you lower the contract demands for Blake Snell? I mean, that's just dumb, right? At least we got a good starter in there, and then we'll wait and see how the market pans out. You don't know. We don't know. But listen, I think that's smart business. I mean, Montgomery and Snell are overpriced and are unemployed. So Cashman didn't shop hungry. He shopped smart. And that's, like, I cannot complain about what he's done this offseason. It was smart business. Jump in, guys.
I think it was smart business. And JJ, you're not replacing Torres' bat with Urshela. Sorry.
He wants to trade Torres for Cease and then put Gio at second. He's
a third baseman. What are we doing here?
He's a third baseman that can play shortstop and second base on a pinch, and he can play first on a pinch. He'd be a perfect utility guy if they wanted to add him for that. But my goodness, you're complaining about not getting Corbin Burns, but you want Gio Urshela to be your starting second baseman. You make L.I. Yankee King look like a genius. I'm just saying.
That's I can't get behind that one. Urshela, and the guy's coming off an injury. And then all you guys will be then there'll be another complaint that all he signs is injured players.
Yeah, let's not focus
on. We need players ready to go.
Let's just talk about what we can talk about. So, what do you guys think about the way that Cashman's approached the pitching market after Yamamoto?
I think he's handled everything the way that needed to be handled. Instead of just sitting going, well, we missed out on him. We'll just roll with what we got.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, who else is out there? So it's we were in the market for almost everybody.
Yep.
So how could they say that he was sleeping at the wheel? He wasn't. That's what like I said in the beginning. Just because we didn't get every shiny toy off the shelf doesn't mean that we didn't go shopping. We made significant improvements in areas that needed them, except for the one. But NFA, let's get your takes on this.
Yeah, I mean, Donald, you said a lot of things that I'm just like, yes, like exactly what I'm thinking. He's saying exactly what I wanted to say, and and Tats, you bring up the shiny toys. Like, here's the thing, and I keep bringing this up over and over again. I sound like a broken record. The Braves had the shiny toys. They had the best record in baseball. What happened?
Yep.
Please, somebody in the chat, tell me what happened, because we all know what happened, right? The Padres had shiny toys as well. We thought they were going to be contenders, and what happened? They didn't even make the playoffs. So shiny toys doesn't mean anything. Enough with this shiny toys. There's a lot of negativity about DJ, and particularly this morning. My God, it's like DJ played well in the second half of the season. I think a lot of people were forgetting that. Mm-hmm. He picked it up. He was looking like the old DJ LeMahieu that I knew. Especially when I saw him playing here. Like I was one of those Yankees fans that was like, I wish the Yankees could have this guy because he's good at what he does. He's a good player. And then as far as the Mets had the shiny toys too. Exactly. They did nothing. What did they do? Nothing.
Zero in the majors last year.
Extend DJ. Yes, John. Let's do it. Yeah, and then this offseason, as far as Brian Cashman goes, he did everything he possibly can to get the players that he needs, and tried at least, right, with some of them. Yamamoto obviously didn't work out, but they offered him a very fair contract. They offered him a better contract than the Dodgers did, but he just preferred to play in LA. Fine, whatever. We, moved on. They tried trading for Corbin Burns, but they wanted every top name from the Yankees, and the Yankees said no. And then the White Sox, they look at Dylan Cease as like an elite starter, and they wanted like big names from the Yankees. And what I say to stuff like that is go kick rocks. Seriously, like I don't understand why all this negativity this morning. Like the Yankees were very good this offseason. They made a lot of good moves. But people don't.
No, and I think the DJ frustration, I think Acevedo, hit it on the head because we want to see Peraza.
I want to see Peraza too.
And it was these, when you say it in December, who your starting third baseman is on opening day, that was a terrible move by Boone to say that.
Yeah,
that was his mistake. I'm saying, let's worry about getting to spring training healthy, and then we'll worry about where everybody's playing. That's all he had to say.
Well, in fairness, though, Cashman has confirmed that. He says he does foresee DJ LeMahieu being the starting third baseman, but he says that he was extended on the premise that the idea that he can play other positions helps, dependent on injuries or how other off seasons plan out. So, this one, it looks like DJ LeMahieu is the starting third baseman. That's pretty fair. I mean, who else do you see? Peraza. So I don't see what the big problem is. I mean, DJ LeMahieu's multiple batting champion on both leagues. So
fine option.
Well, no, it's not that he's not an option. I would rather look. I had said you put Peraza at third. You use DJ as your utility guy. So if he needs, if you need to, it keeps him healthy because he's not, in the hot corner every day. Not that he can't play it, but you want to keep him, healthy and available. It also provides you a platoon with Rizzo at first, because let's not act like they're in their 20s. DJ and
Yeah,
Rizzo
but let's also
are
not
getting up.
act like he isn't an MVP. He wasn't an MVP candidate like 2 years ago. Let's not act that as well. I mean, he also have to kind of say to the player, right, you're not starting on opening day. You know how hard that will be for someone who's an MVP candidate and a multiple batting champion. And the reason why I say that is Brian Cashman said that yesterday. He says LeMahieu didn't make the opening day roster last year, and it was a very tough conversation to have with him. And he said he kind of sucked on the guy because he's far better than that. So you also have to be respectful to the player's resume as well.
Fair enough.
He's not cooked yet. So you sit down and say, you're not starting because we're going to go with Peraza. That might be a conversation that has a negative impact. You also have to think about chemistry and the locker room. DJ LeMahieu is highly respected in the locker room. He's highly respected in baseball circles. I know he's not highly respected right now by our fan base because we've got very short-term memories, but he is legitimately an excellent hitter, right? So I just want to say that, like, I know there's a lot of fans that have completely given up on DJ LeMahieu because of 2 bad years. I understand it, appreciate it. I'm disappointed with it myself, but let's not forget that his resume, and he can't have forgotten how to hit. Back me up here, guys.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that he's not useful for this team. I want him on this team. I want him as a utility guy. But I'll say this, and I'll let everybody let Robin and NFE put their sense into it. I'm gonna say this to close out my point. Let's also not think that they can't make adjustments once the season kicks underway.
Yeah.
So I don't think the book is closed on Peraza being the utility guy and not the third baseman. It can change as the season goes.
Yeah, that's what right now it could be DJ as a starter, but what if Rizzo needs a day off or two, or what if he has an injury? Then DJ's playing first, and guess what? Peraza is going to play third. So I don't like it that Peraza is going to be used as a utility player for now, but if they hold on to him, which it looks like they are going to hold on to him, then he has every chance to potentially be your third baseman moving forward. It might not be this year, but he's going to get playing time this year. I don't see a scenario where he doesn't, whether it's as a defensive replacement late in games or he's going to start. They might DH Torres one day, something like that, to give Stanton a day off or whatever. And then they put Peraza at second. There's ways you can use Oswald Peraza. Mm-hmm. They use the days off a lot. The only couple of players that you're probably going to see not get those days are Soto and Volpe, really, and Torres. But even when they don't take Torres out, they'll just DH him so you can put Peraza there. Peraza's going to play. He will play. I just prefer him to be starting at third because his arm is so damn good, and we know he's not going to play short. But he's going to play, and DJ can play all over the place also, so you can use him if need be at first to give Rizzo a day. So anyone who wants to get rid of DJ or doesn't want him to start, I understand not wanting him to start over the younger player, but we can't ignore that when DJ is on, there are few in the game that do better than what he does in terms of contact. Because, like you said, a couple of years ago, MVP candidate, but also he was like our most clutch hitter. When there was guys on base, you wanted nobody else up but DJ LeMahieu. So, and we were seeing that again last year. The guy was raking. I think he was a 300 hitter in the second half of the season, or he was right below it. So if that's the kind of DJ we're going to get this year, guess who you're going to see at the top of the order more often than not? And guess who you're going to want to see in the top of the order more often than not? Especially with Soto and Judge behind him. You want DJ LeMahieu out there. So if that's the guy we're getting, then so be it. I mean, that's perfectly fine. don't see the reason for the negativity. Again, this seems to be the common theme this morning, but the Yankees have versatility on the roster, and that's what we want. And it's actual infielders that can play the infield, not we're transitioning this former catcher to play third base, or we're going to take this left fielder and move him here and take this third baseman and move him to the outfield. We're not doing that this year. Infielders are playing in the infield, with the exception of Cabrera, because he can play everywhere. And infielders are staying in the infield, outfielders are in the outfield. And isn't that what we want? So, like, again, this team is built a lot better. And it's got a much better, much deeper bench that if we need to put somebody from the bench in the starting lineup, again, the days off, the Yankees use it so much. And whether we like it or not, that's going to be the case again. Peraza will get a lot of at-bats. Not as much as I'd like him to, but he will get a lot of at-bats. So, and if he does perform well, it'll force their hand to put him in the lineup more. And guess what?
It's also a versatile roster, Rob. It's a versatile roster, man. Like if Rizzo goes down, LeMahieu jumps in at first. Peraza jumps in at third base, shortstop or second base, dependent. There's far more flexibility and roles that can jump in. You got Verdugo that can play left to right field, center field at a pinch. You got Juan Soto who can play the corners. You got Aaron Judge that can play all over the outfield. And you got Grisham who's a Gold Glove center fielder. Like, the options are there. It can withstand a couple injuries, and we'll still be able to rock and roll. That's good. That's a good way to build a roster. Another thing is anyone that's upset about why have we not made more trades or why have we not made – you can't force the market, right? It's not MLB The Show. It's not a click of a button, right? You cannot force another team to accept your offers. You can't force another team to accept it on your timeline. That's another thing, man. Like it takes two to tango, and there's also a bunch of other teams that might jump in as well. That's just the reality, man. Like we're not privy to what happens behind the scenes, right? So we can't say that Cashman hasn't had discussions with Dylan Cease, with other excellent players like the Marlins, pitching options. There's nothing to say that he hasn't had continued discussions with Montgomery and Blake Snell. Cashman confirmed yesterday that he had discussions with Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery and put together a contract offer for Blake Snell, and it was rejected, and that's that, right? I mean, come on. I mean, you cannot force the market. Cashman said it's a very slow-moving market, and that one of the reasons is because the Yamamoto sweepstakes took far longer than anyone in baseball anticipated. It went on longer, and thus it's extended the market, and it's still slowly moving since then. We said it at the time. After that Yamamoto contract, it was going to have massive reverberations around the league. It was so massive, and it was so mind-blowingly huge that it's going to be very difficult for the market to recover this offseason. And that's how it's played out. We cannot force our general manager to force another team to make a deal on their timeline, on our timeline. It's just, that doesn't make sense, man. So we made a smart business decision to put together a strong roster as it stands right now, but we still have the flexibility if we want to make another move, either now, later in spring, or towards the summer. We'll wait and see how things go. But I just want to remind some fans that are so unhappy or whatever, it's not a computer game, man. I wish it was, but it's not. So this is the reality, and it's still a very strong roster.
Yeah, and you know how you were saying that, you know, if the roles were reversed and we had gotten Soto this week, well, you do remember the move we made 20 years ago yesterday, right?
Yep,
A-Rod. So it happens late in the season where the Yankees have made splashes. And so, you know, it's, yeah, don't give me that was 20 years ago. It happens. All right. Machado and Harper, they signed late in the offseason. You know, so these holdouts sometimes plan themselves out, and it works out for whoever does whoever acquires the player. And so, and that was the other thing that was, I think it was on, I forget what show it was on, where they was bringing up um, with Harper that we passed up on, right? Real Muto, Kyle Schwarber, right? All the Phillies that they're stealing all our players. What did they win? Did that get them their championship? Oh, we should have gotten Machado. What did he win? You know, these are the players that really would have made improvements. But not one move dictates everything. You got to play it out. You know, we talked about it with the dynasty years. You know, with guys like Brocious, everybody hated that move, and he ended up being an integral part to us winning. So sometimes the role players are the ones that step up.
Facts. It's
Right?
not all about stars all the time.
We had Judge and Stanton in the lineup last year in the postseason. It was Harrison
Ricky
Bader that
Leday
got us
was
past
a
the end.
valuable left fielder for the Yankees back in the late '90s. Ricky Leday.
Oh, there's always someone that came up there in those years, and you never know who's going to be that player every single year. And I'm not saying they only have to sign role players, because if you can get the superstar, go get the superstar, because he's only going to help you. But you know, everyone thinks that the Yankees didn't do anything or they didn't go hard enough this offseason. Is just it's not the case, because they did, and their GM confirmed it yesterday. You know, that he confirmed it last night. So I advise you, if you have not watched the Talking Yanks interview with Cashman, go watch it, because you're going to get a really good insight to what the Yankees' plans were this offseason. I think had they gotten Snell, yeah, their rotation looks a little bit better for sure. But guess what? He didn't want what they offered him, and that's it. You can't hold off, and you can't be like, again, I said this. I personally would have traded Spencer Jones for Corbin Burns, but I understand the Yankees' reluctance to do so.
Yeah.
So if they want to keep him, if they want him to be part of the future, that means they have a plan for him, and I just hope they execute that plan when he's ready to go. But it doesn't mean they didn't say, is there any other offer you would like? And if the Brewers' second option was like, okay, well, give us Arias and Lalane, because that was another rumor, and the Yankees said no, they probably walked away and said, all right, well, we're going to take Baltimore's
The thing
offer.
is, it wasn't just Spencer Jones, though. It was Spencer Jones as well as probably a Chase Hampton or
that's what I'm saying. But
it's not good business.
I was just saying, I personally would have given them Spencer Jones and maybe another prospect or two for Burns, but I understand why they didn't do it. I'm not saying they should have done it. I was addressing a comment from earlier. It's like, why didn't they make a second offer? That's bad business. I think it was JJ who said it again.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to jump in on here. Yeah, but if they mentioned one name, he walked away. It looks bad, or a lack of creativity. Completely disagree on that. First of all, if you're talking about like a free agent, you make an offer, and if there's a way in which there's a middle ground that you can reach in order to be serious in negotiations, then you do it. But that wasn't the case. Cashman put into an exploratory offer, multiple years, high AAV to get Blake Snell. It was rejected. They had to walk away because there was no middle ground to be reached. It was completely unrealistic. They wanted like 9 years. We offered 5, and there's no middle ground there, I'm afraid. So that's not a lack of creativity. That's just the way it is. That's Scott Boras. Blame him. You know, Scott Boras completely outpriced Montgomery, and now Montgomery, he might not even sign with the Rangers because the Rangers can't afford him. So that's on Boras. That's not on Cashman. If you're talking about the Corbin Burns trade, it wasn't just Spencer Jones. It was one of our prospects, starting pitching prospects. I mean, that's starting to get a little bit pricey for a rental, and we've already got a rental in Soto. Multiple rentals makes it very difficult to extend all of them. So I can't blame them for passing on that. So no, I was I mean, listen, some of us will say, hey, I would have traded Spencer Jones. If it was maybe Spencer Jones on his own, I maybe understand, but there's multiple names involved, and I don't think that I think that slightly prices us out of that particular realm. And I stick by it. I'm not going to do that for a rental. If it was for multiple years of control, yes. Rental, no. I've stood by that for a couple of weeks. So. But that's not a lack of creativity. In fact, it's pretty creative to go, well, we're not going to shop hungry in this market. We're going to bring in Stroman on a short-term deal and see how the rest of the market plays out. That is creative. That isn't a lack of creativity, in my opinion. I think it's pretty solid. Pretty solid thinking.
Yeah, and who knows what the conversation from the Brewers end was. The Brewers could have left, could have been like, look, these are the guys we want. If they're not on the table, don't bother calling me back. I'll get other offers. You don't know what happened on the other side of the phone. But NFA, what do you think about all this?
Look, I'm going into this season with a lot of optimism. You guys already know this, so I'm not worried about 2024. 2023, different story. Okay, I was a little optimistic, but I had my worries. But 2024, I'm feeling very optimistic. And yeah, Donald mentioned the Rangers and Jordan Montgomery. So just so you know, the Rangers and Jordan Montgomery reunion unlikely. Because according to the Rangers, they're not adding players. They're not looking to add any more players, so they're not going to spend any more money.
So where's Montgomery going to go?
Who knows? Maybe he goes to Baltimore, right? Because they have a couple of pitchers that are hurt. Maybe Baltimore does sign Montgomery.
Yeah, Monty might be their pivot.
Yeah, he could reunite with the Cardinals.
I said again, Boris outpriced his clients in this market.
Did.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely,
100%. Teams that will be competing for these players.
Yeah. No, Boris is he's been a cancer this offseason. So I mean, when you have guys like Montgomery, Blake Snell, JD Martinez, Matt Chapman, when you have guys like this that are still free agents and a team has not signed them, there's a problem. There's a big problem. And Stephen B mentions the Phillies making a move for Monty. I could see that. The Phillies haven't really made any moves this offseason other than signing Aaron Nola, and they're in talks with Zach Wheeler for an extension. I can see them potentially signing Montgomery, and that would be a scary rotation to go up against. So, look, as far as the Yankees go, all right, let's talk Yankees. I feel good about this team. I feel great. There is a lot of depth on this team. They are deep in the roster. I have no concerns about DJ LeMahieu. I do understand the frustration that people that he's starting third base and not Oswaldo Peraza. Sorry, but Peraza is going to get playing time. He will. And if you remember, Hal Steinbrenner has said that Volpe and Peraza are part of the infield of the future in the upcoming years. So Peraza, if what Hal is saying is true, is he's going to be a part of this team for years to come, along with Anthony Volpe, right? Assuming things, these two guys play well and improve every year. So, I don't know. Again, I don't know what was with the constant negativity earlier in the stream, but I'm glad it's kind of calmed down now. Yeah.
No. Well, we're gonna send everybody into the weekend on a positive note.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So, I think there's a lot to be positive about. One thing I want to be positive about is the actual competition for places here, especially in terms of pitching. So, the last spot in the rotation, even though I do think that we should probably add another arm in the rotation, you've still got depth in the rotation that could come in and do a job. Will Warren was mentioned. Got Hampton, you got Beater, you got a bunch of names there. Rob did a really good podcast with Dane. You've been discussing prospects and stuff like that, Rob. I'm sure there's people that you've got an eye on that could be a non-roster invitee that has a chance of making the team and being a solid contributor. So I'll ask Rob about that. Rob, is there someone that you've got your eye on right now that's a non-roster invitee, or even someone that's just given an opportunity in camp that you think that could get a good role in the bullpen or as a fifth starter?
As for the rotation, I think the most likely names are, the guys like Heel and Gomes, Beater. Those guys can certainly push for it. Will Warren would need to be added, but he's probably the closest thing to a legitimate starting pitcher out of that group, in my opinion. I still think Heel can be a really good option, but Warren's probably got the higher ceiling at this point. in terms of starting pitching. But mostly out of the bullpen, guys like De Los Santos and Birdie and Dwayne Underwood, guys that aren't even in the camp invitation list, guys like Jack, I think Neely might have been on that list. Danny Watson, another guy. Edgar Barclay's another guy. There's so many guys that are not in the 40-man that would have to be added that could make an impact this year and could push for that job out of the spring. I mean, we saw it last year with Hamilton. The year before, 2 years before that, Lucas Licky was that guy. So every year there's one of those players. So I'm looking forward to seeing the competition. And hey, if Will Warren gives them a reason to push a guy like Clark Schmidt or Nestor Cortez out of the rotation, that's only a good thing because it tells you that Will Warren's close to is ready. I think he is ready right now. It's just more than likely he starts in AAA just to build up some innings. But if something goes wrong, like last year, let's hope it doesn't, then you've got several arms that can come in and immediately start for you. So Will Warren's probably the top guy on that list, and then Luis Heel. I think Beater and Gomes are more bullpen options at this point, but Beater could probably give you more innings.
Cashman said that the Heel is probably going to be someone that they're going to want to be a little bit patient with. But he says he's healthy now, but it's going to take a little bit of time. But he says that Warren's ready to go right now to compete for a fifth starter spot. So that's someone to keep an eye out on. Let's not focus on what we don't have. Let's focus on what we do have. It's like a psychological difference, right? Instead of focusing on what we don't have, focus on what we do have. And that just talks about our lives in general, right? So I think the Yankees have a very strong roster and they have a lot of competition for places. So let's look at that first before we get worried about what we don't have. So that's my message of positivity for a Friday.
Yeah, well, my positivity is I don't know if you guys saw the report. We'll close on that. We'll get our thoughts on this, and then we'll head into the weekend. But did you guys see the report with Rob Manfred saying he will not, when his contract is over, he will not return as the commissioner? So Manfred has already said that he is going to step aside at the end of his contract. So bye-bye. See you later. Don't let the dog hit you in the ass on the way out.
It's still 5 years, guys. It's still 5 years. That's a lot to happen in 5 years.
Can't come soon enough.
No. I saw that. I started the clock.
So does that mean we're going to nominate you, Tats, to take over that role?
I was just going to – well, because Frederick put in the chat earlier. He's like, oh, they must have been watching your show the other day. Manfred's like, he's got this.
All right, we're voting in Uncle Tats to be commissioner of baseball. There we go. All right, I'm down. No, I read about that, and I'm just like, yeah, good. Like, goodbye. Yes, it's another 5 years, but before you know it, it'll be 2029. He'll be gone. Good riddance. Bye-bye. Hopefully somebody better steps in. Who that is, I don't know. But I don't have a name that I can think of. But in terms of real quick, I just wanted to mention the one player that I am looking forward to is Will Warren. That is the one guy myself personally, I'm focusing on. There's a lot of great names on those non-roster invites, but the one name I'm really focusing on is Will Warren. And talking to Dane Huber about Will Warren, I am excited to see this guy play. And he is Major League Baseball ready. He may not crack the spot, the 40-man roster. He may not crack a roster spot, but he is going to get called up at some point to pitch, and it could be out of the bullpen, or if somebody in the rotation, which I hope I'm not wishing for this. If one of them gets hurt, he can fill in for one of those spots. And you guys should go check out Will Warren's some of his highlights and how he pitches. The guy is amazing. Like,
what do you see when you see him pitch?
A lot of movement on his ball. And, the special thing about him is just with Will Warren, when those pitches come out of his arm, they all look the same, but halfway down. So halfway when it gets halfway down the plate, it like goes in different directions. So it throws batters off balance. He's got some good stuff, and the scouts rated a couple of his pitches, very high. So he's got an amazing slider. Apparently, his slider is like great. And I forget the ESPN analyst's name. I think his name was Kylie McDaniel, I want to say. He's an ESPN insider, right? Yeah. And he focuses a lot on prospects. He even put Will Warren as a Rookie of the Year candidate.
Holy shit!
Yeah, yeah, and I'm excited to see this guy play.
What's his average velocity?
I don't remember, but all I can say is his pitches are above average or better.
Right.
So
and there's no variation between the fastball and like a slider in order for there to be some deception. Rob, what do you think about Will Warren?
He's ready. It's the best way to put it. He's absolutely ready. And yeah, Damian, he's around 94, 95 with a chance to go a little bit higher. Let's not forget that Garrett Cole actually got Luke Weaver to jump up a couple of miles per hour in his fastball. So I'm excited to see what he would be able to do with Warren. He's got Dane will be able to tell you a whole lot more, but he's got like 6 or 7 pitches that he can throw, and he throws them all well. And he's a guy that can eat innings because he did that last year, and he's got a lot of potential. Their teams were scouting him 2 years ago. Cincinnati wanted him in a Castillo trade. So this is a special player, and that goes to an earlier comment. The Yankees don't draft pitching. He was in that 2021 class with Brock Selvage, and there was somebody else whose name I can't remember. Might have been Brendan Beck, who we took in that same class. These are all guys that could be here as soon as this. If Beck was healthy, I think he's got a little arm thing he's dealing with, but he's a guy that could jump up the system because he's 25. And Brock Selvage, even though he's 21, people think he's going to be in AAA by this season. So that 2021 class is looking like it's going to be really good. And yeah, I'm excited about Will Warren, and I'm excited about a lot of these pitchers. And that's part of the reason why I'm not like pushing, like we have to go get another, like, oh, we absolutely have to go get another starter. It's do or die. And also, if we did trade for a starter, we have so many arms that are going to jump up and take that top spot if we move somebody else. So the system is so deep, but Will Warren might be the best of all of them right now. And next year, that could change. Like next year, he might be graduating from prospect status, and then that could be Chase Hampton, it could be Lalane, it could be Selvage, it could be LaGrange, all these different names out there. So I love the system, and Lalane is special. He absolutely is special, and I love Will Warren stuff, and I truly want him to be in the rotation this year, but I understand it if he doesn't make it.
Yeah, shout out to Rob, our prospect guy. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the like button. Let's climb up the likes a little bit. We should hire Cole as our health coordinator. Well, if you actually listen to Brian Cashman's podcast on Talking Yanks, he says that Garrett Cole takes a very active role in the organization and takes control of pitching in general, and he's helped a bunch of guys behind the scenes. He described Garrett Cole as Picasso in terms of pitchers. Like he works with guys. He's an absolute expert, and he's developed a bunch of guys behind the scenes. So he already is our help coordinator, Acevedo. So this is a good comment, man.
Yeah, I think he meant health, but same difference.
Health
and the last thing I was going to mention about Will Warren is that at best he's like a number 3 starter. He probably won't be like a number 1 starter in the rotation, but he'd be a solid number 3. Whatever, for me, it's if he's a solid number 3, great. As long as he could get batters out and make them swing and miss, that's all I care about. You know what I mean? So,
I'm sure he will be, Damien.
Yeah. But
over to John Minko in the WFAN t-shirt. What's up, Uncle T?
I look like him, right? It's not almost as old, but
Radio 66 WFAN. It's Uncle Tats. What's the update on Tats?
One to JJ's comment, Warren is a starter, not a reliever. As far as our predictions, we will do an entire prediction show as spring training comes to a conclusion. So tune in for that. Little spoiler for that. But no, I think we're ready to go. I think the kids that are on the way up are projecting right on track. There's no reason to rush any of them through the process, and rush them up the ladder.
Oh my God, Brad! Don't highlight his.
That's what I was laughing at. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's so bad. What's going on, Jacob?
I'm sorry.
But-
I have to highlight it. Brad, usually you're hit and miss with your
boy.
jokes, but you're hitting on that one, man.
That
Oh,
one,
my
yeah,
God.
you were on that. But
What up, Jacob?
That's-
How's it going? Hit the like button,
that's
guys.
it.
Well, let's close out the show now, right?
Yeah.
We'll end it on that.
What is that? Quit my.
Oh,
Awesome.
Brad.
Awesome.
Oh.
Never fails. Never fails. Keep your fantasy to yourself, Brad.
Yeah, he already eviscerated Li the other night on Twitter. Unfortunately, the guy it's like talking to a wall. And yeah, NFE was there too. It was,
I was part of
Dane
that.
and myself. Yeah, Dane, myself, NFE, Brad, Jacob. We were all trying to explain to Li, like 5 parents to a child, why this. He was complaining about the Trevino signing. Go figure, a $1.5 million deal. He's complaining about it, and we're trying to explain why it was a smart decision, because it's kind of like adding. What do the Yankees do more than anything at the deadline? Add relief pitching, right?
Yep.
So now you're going to get both him and Efros back around that time. So you don't have to trade for anybody. You don't have to give up prospects. In his mind, he doesn't want veteran players, but he wants to go trade for prospects for James Karinchak, who was sent down last year by the Guardians of all teams. So, if anyone ever wants to think that LA Yankee King is a future GM, NFE, you can tell them what they can do.
Kick rocks. And it's also worth noting that Robbie Ray's on the injured list, so it's a good thing we didn't trade DJ for him.
Oh wow. Okay. Not the while he's injured, but we dodged a bullet. No, you never want to see anybody get hurt.
No, you don't. But I'm just making a point here that
Just my initial reaction. It's like, oh, he's hurt. Oh wow, like it's like I'm celebrating it. But that's gonna wrap things up for us on this Friday. Send everybody into the weekend with some laughter. I'm still trying to hold it back, but if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the stranger on the corner. And NFE, thanks for jumping in with us today. We enjoyed it.
Check out his channel.
Thanks for the invite. Thanks for the invite. Much appreciated. But
we'll catch you on your live streams. Yep. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 a.m. You can catch NFE on his channel. You can always catch us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The time, 10 a.m. And then Sunday, 11 a.m. with the Upper Deck with Chris and Lynn and Pinstripes After Dark. There's a bunch of shows that you can tune into and keep up with us. And we enjoy having you guys in the chat every single time. So with that being said, enjoy your weekend. Wear your pinstripes of pride and play hard.